Good morning. It is 8:40 a.m. here on Friday, the 3rd of September 2021. My name is Arran Hunt. I'm a partner at Stace Hammond and I head up the immigration team there. As always, this video is not legal advice. It is just our commentary on immigration here in New Zealand. If you're looking for legal advice, please get in contact with us directly. And as often happens, within a few hours of us putting out a video, we get an email from immigration with some information that we would have liked to have included in the video. Hence, we're going to do this small video today. There isn't much information there. It's a couple of small pieces of news that I thought would cover. It's generally for those who already are in New Zealand or already hold a visa. It does not impact those of you who are looking to apply to come to New Zealand. First thing is that paper applications with the lockdowns in New Zealand, paper applications have not been processed at all in the past few weeks. So for those who are in New Zealand and you've made an application, you may want to get your lawyer or advisor to send a scan of the application through to Immigration New Zealand directly. If you've submitted a paper application and your visa expires during the time it's sitting at Immigration New Zealand being untouched, they should mark the application as being lodged on the date that they received it. When they got to their office, they stamp it, then goes into a pile. That's the date that the application will be considered as being lodged. And if the interim visa is required, they will retrospectively grant it from that date. So they might look backwards and go, okay, we received it on this date, interim visa goes in place at that point. Now, if it was sent by courier to Immigration New Zealand and the courier hasn't delivered it yet because the offices are closed, Immigration New Zealand will take the date that the courier package arrived at the depot nearest there is ready for delivery as the date that lodgement takes place when they do finally get it. So it's always a good reason we always courier our documents. That's one of the reasons why you can track where it's been and where it's going. But it would be safer to scan the application into Immigration New Zealand if you can, just to get that process rolling. Now, there's one exception of that, and unfortunately that is for variations of conditions. They are working on an online form for variation of conditions of work conditions, but right now these remain paper only. We'll let you know when that is going to change. So at the moment, these variation conditions cannot be scanned through to immigration and they can only be handled on paper. That's the only one that basically we're seeing that cannot be scanned through. So we'll let you know when the changes do come through. There is meant to be a new online system start to be rolled out in July, but we assume that has been delayed and they are looking at moving those variation conditions into an online system. Hopefully it takes place soon because it is, well, we're now sort of 2.5 weeks in when the applications won't have been taken in by them for those variations. Residence visas. For those of you who have received residence visas offshore and have been unable to travel to New Zealand to activate the visas, just for those who don't know, if you get a residence visa when you're offshore, the residence visa starts once you come on shore. It doesn't get typically sort of granted and activated when you're offshore. You must come on shore within, typically within a year. But with the border closing, those applications, the travel conditions were extended out to allow people to maintain that right to get a residence visa without coming to New Zealand. Now, that travel conditions have been extended further. So for those of you who had a travel condition, either an original one or one that was extended, that was due to expire between 25 August and 2021 and 10 September 2022, that's now being extended out to 11 September 2022. Which basically means that you will have you will get that visa on arrival in New Zealand up until that date, and we'd expect that to be extended further if for any reason the border security is still in place at that point, but we really hope it isn't in place by September 2022. Supermarket workers. Now, to allow for people to continue to work in supermarkets or to work for more hours than they may have been allowed to, the definition of work has been altered to exclude those who are already legally working in a supermarket the day before the region entered level 3 or level 4. Now, this includes those who are on student visa holders who are allowed to do 20 hours a week, and also work visa holders, whether it's open or whether it was essential skills work to residence. It also includes those who are now on interim visa as long as they held a student or work visa before their interim visa and were legally working at a supermarket. But it also includes those who work in tasks associated with the supply of goods to and from the supermarket. So you have the supermarket workers and those in the supermarkets, but also those who are supplying the supermarkets and who are handling the supply of the goods, the transfer of goods. So basically the larger bubble in the food production, sort of the essential products pathway and network. So it covers a wide range of roles, not just those working at the supermarket. So it's actually going to cover a lot of you. What it does mean is that if you are on a student visa, you can work for more than the 20 hours. If you are a work visa holder, you can go and work for the supermarket or continue to work for the supermarket as long as you worked there on the day prior to the level 3 or level 4 coming into place. Now the exclusion only applies during level 3 or level 4. So once we go back to level 2, you can no longer do the extra hours or continue to work there. But it stretches out until the 31st of December 2023. So it does cover any future movements into level 3 or level 4 over the next several years. So it is sort of that sort of forward thinking. Two last quick points. Escalations. Now, for those needing to get a work visa processed quickly, such as going from an open work visa to one based on employment, where the interim visa doesn't allow you to work, it's a visitor visa status, there is a request that can be made to escalate that processing. However, with COVID-19, the escalation is hard to get. It has been harder to get than it used to be, as you really need to show why it needs to be escalated. It needs to be a really good reason. A reason based on that you can't work is not going to be good enough to get escalation. It needs to be that you're essential to your employer. It's going to impact their business, or it's going to impact some aspect of life in New Zealand. So you're an essential worker, or you're involved in one of these areas, you're working in critical health. These sorts of reasons, you might get an escalation. We've got a couple through recently, but a few others have been declined. Most are getting declined because it's not going to meet the standards they're looking for getting escalation of the processing. And finally, one just clarification. This has been asked a few times, and Immigration New Zealand have directly responded to this. There'll be those of you who are having employers who are saying to you that, can you cut down your hours during the lockdown? Now, your employer is still required to pay you as per your contract. If you have so many hours in the contract, that is what they have to pay you. However, some employers are talking to their employees and trying to find out a balance point where the employer can maintain those roles going forward, with the employee perhaps taking a cut of hours to allow for that. And often it is the only way for the employer to maintain all of their staff during a lockdown where there's very little money coming in. But if your employer wants to reduce your hours to less than 30 hours, this would be a breach of your visa. Immigration New Zealand have stated this, that you would be breaching your visa if you were to work less than 30 hours a week or get paid for less than 30 hours a week. So be very cautious in that situation. And if your employer does want to do that, then talk to them and let them know it's going to impact your immigration status, your visa. You'll be in breach of your visa. And actually, so they would be hiring someone or employing somebody who's breaching their visa, which doesn't look good for them. So if that was the case, then definitely go and seek legal advice on that. But you can talk to your employer about it, make them aware as to how it's going to impact you. And that is it for today. A rather short, quick video, a couple of quick pointers in there. We do have a number of questions for me to go and respond to on YouTube, and a number of inquiries to work through. It has been a fairly busy few weeks. Doing what we can to bring on more staff to handle all of that. Until next time, hopefully we'll have more news as to visa applications rather than just these little pieces in there. But when we do, we'll come back to you with those. Until then, kia kaha and stay safe.